Welcome back, guys. This is Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. We have Destini on again with us today talking about the best protein for women. Now, just because you're not a woman doesn't mean you can't gain knowledge from this video. I'm sure you know a woman in your life who maybe wants to increase their protein take or is looking for a protein supplement or just has questions about protein in general. Point her our way because we want to talk to her, and we just want every woman to feel like supported and knowledgeable when it comes to choosing a protein powder and getting the recommended protein within their daily diet. But first, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Also, if you want to purchase any of these, we place a link below the like button. When you use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give us a small commission. And I'm serious, guys, we are so grateful whenever you use that link. And lastly, some of these were sent to us by the company, but as you will see, we're not going to just sugarcoat it. We will always tell you the honest truth, including Destini. I mean, she is so truthful, which is one of the things I really appreciate about her. But we're going to start off this conversation. Destini, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk about some protein.
Dude, I just love talking to you. It's always so fun. And also, let me tell you, it makes my job easier because I'm I just get to ask so many questions and that they know all of the knowledge of. I don't have to know all the knowledge of. Great, let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about this stuff all day. So it's a mutual easiness.
Awesome. Now, to start off, I do have a couple questions, but I kind of want to get just your broad, what are maybe some misconceptions that women have about protein that you want to address?
I think that a lot of women think that protein powder is just for men, and a lot of both men and women think that protein powder is just for bodybuilders. But I feel like protein powder can have a place in everybody's diet or their fitness goals because in general, your protein needs are probably a lot higher than you think if you are active, and protein powder can just sort of help you cover your bases. I also think that a lot of women think that collagen is protein powder. It's not. Collagen is collagen. Protein powder is protein powder. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know the difference.
Awesome. I think that's such good information. Now, one thing that I've definitely noticed is women will drink a protein water. Why is that not helpful?
Are you talking about the protein waters that are like the color things that I see in the gyms or whatever?
Yeah.
First of all, that sounds gross. I mean, if you like it, more power to you. But I've also read some studies that the sort of protein that is in the water is not very bioavailable, which means you don't digest it as well as if you would have had it from something like whey, because they've just processed it so much to make it transparent. Whereas whey, a high quality whey protein powder is based from food. So obviously your body is going to be more receptive to something like that.
Okay. So just in general, your advice to women would be whey protein. What would fall underneath whey protein if they can't do whey?
So if you have tummy issues or if you have lactose dairy issues, then I would advise that you find a vegan protein powder that still has a similar amino acid profile. Generally, I default to either a soy or a rice and pea blend of protein.
Okay, so I see a lot of people who just do pea protein, just do rice protein. Why do we need both? Or what is it that you're not getting from just one of each of those?
So a lot of plant sources of protein, they don't contain all the essential amino acids, which is unfortunate because you need all the essential amino acids to support optimal muscle growth and muscle maintenance. So with rice and pea, they don't contain all the essential amino acids on their own, but when taken together, they complement each other and they do have an amino acid profile very similar to whey without any of the lactose that may upset your tummy.
Awesome. That is awesome. Okay, let's start with what I think we already agree. I feel almost we're soul sisters on this front, okay? Do you know what protein I'm going to bring up?
Legion Athletic.
Let's go! Okay, so best organic protein powder for women, Legion Protein Whey Plus, is the one that we have. I'm in 100% agreement on this. I'm thinking you are too. What makes Legion so quality and so great? And maybe even take it from a perspective of why is it so great for women?
Yeah, so one of the things that makes it objectively great, third-party tested, it comes from grass-fed cows, which nutritionally doesn't make a difference, but I just find that every grass-fed whey I have just tastes so good. It blends well. It's got a great mouthfeel, all of that. And it's got none of the artificial ingredients or junk that you might find in other protein powders. There's not a lot of bad things to say about it. But as far as women, I know at least for me, and I think a lot of women would agree, I look forward to my protein shake after a really hard workout, some of those really tasty flavors. It's like having a little treat. And Legion constantly is adding these amazing flavors that you never get tired of taking their brand.
Yeah, I love it. I've tried a bunch of different flavors from them, but cinnamon cereal is still like my go-to right now. I'm not tired of it. I like it so much.
They just released an apple pie I like to have at night, and it is pristine.
Okay, so I do want to talk about kind of what you were saying earlier. What's like your favorite nighttime snack that you take with Legion? Tell us.
So I am a cereal killer. Like, I will kill some cereal, right? But the problem with cereal is because it's so carb-based, there's not a lot of protein from the milk, you get hungry afterwards. So I like to take Legion's fruity cereal, which tastes like Fruit Loops, make it into my cereal milk, and then add some plain Cheerios or some high fiber cereal I would normally not eat on its own, but make it taste like Fruit Loops. And you get some protein in there to actually fill you up and make you feel satisfied.
I'm sold. I'm 100% doing it tonight. I'm picking up cereal on the way home. It sounds so good.
Let me know how it went.
I will. Okay, so next we have the Sierra Bright Whey Protein. So there's a couple of things that I like about this. It has 25 grams of protein. It contains Himalayan rock salt, and then it has no added sugar. So obviously 25 grams of protein per serving is a great dosage. Why is something like Himalayan rock salt really good in a protein powder, or maybe really bad?
So something like Himalayan rock salt, it gives you a very pure form of sodium, which is an electrolyte that you need to replace after exercise if you've sweated a lot. Whenever something like an electrolyte is added to a protein powder, I appreciate it, because rehydration is something that most people forget about. We've all got our protein powder, we've got our creatine, but rehydration is also important. So this sort of takes care of it for you. One of the things that I like about this particular protein is there's minimal carbs and fat. So if you're a woman that's trying to watch their weight, this will be a great way to supplement your protein intake without adding a bunch of calories.
I know. I really like that, because I know so many women, and although I do feel like all of a sudden women are like in their strong season and they're okay like bulking now, and they're okay putting on some extra weight and Billy Stripes, which I just think is so cool. But eventually you're going to want to cut, right? Like, we're going through cycles, we're going through phases. So this would be like probably a really good one.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. Now, one thing that I do think is interesting about this, and maybe you had also said this, is it contains both Splenda and stevia. Like, why both?
I feel like every time we do one of these videos, there's one protein powder that has me scratching my head when I'm like, what were they thinking when they did this formulation? Because it has both natural and artificial ingredients, but it also has both Splenda and stevia, which is an artificial and a natural sweetener. I have no idea why they did this. They could have just gone with the stevia or just with the Splenda. Maybe it's because stevia has an aftertaste and they wanted to balance it. I really am, this is confusing for me.
I know, and it's so interesting. I've talked to quite a few people that are always testing supplements here along with us, and they either have like a very sensitive palate to stevia, or they like don't notice it at all. For me, I'm like, I actually like stevia, but there are some people who are like, I don't like it at all. And any protein powder that I've taken, I'm thinking there's some by Jack Factory that have like sucralose and stevia, and it ends up being almost overly sweet, or just sort of like tasting really like fake in a way. And I'm like, why are we doing this? So I agree. Whenever I see like an artificial ingredient and a natural ingredient, or artificial sweetener and a natural sweetener, I'm like, why are we doing this? I don't understand. Okay, so the next one I actually think is really great. It is the best budget protein powder for women, and that is the Optimum Nutrition 100% Gold Standard Whey Protein. Now, one thing you had just told me is this is third-party tested. It's not very clear on their website. Maybe even just tell people, if they think that third-party testing is important, where can they find that information?
Yeah, so if you're ever in doubt if something is third-party tested, banned substance tested, please do not take the company's word for it. They can put whatever they want on the label since supplements are regulated by the FDA. Go to NS for Sport database, and that database will have you filter things by brand. You can filter things by product and see if a protein powder that you're considering buying is third-party tested. If it's not on that list, it's very likely that it's actually not third-party tested.
I love that. I think that's awesome. Okay, so the cost is decent for a third third-party tested supplement at $2. A lot of times if it's a third-party tested, we'll see $2.20, even like $2.30 per serving. It can kind of get like up there in cost. It has some carbs and fat included, and then it also has that 25 grams of protein per serving. What are some things that you like about this protein, or maybe you don't like?
Yeah, it's a very simple brand. It's very approachable. Like, you can find it at almost any GNC or supplement store, so you don't need to go to any special place or any special website. I have a very soft spot for this protein powder because whenever I was in college and I started getting my confidence as a female weightlifting, this was the brand that I used. I had the strawberry tub. I would bring it in my little duffel bag to campus. And I always refer my poor college athletes to it because college athletes need a third-party tested supplement, but they don't always have the money for it. So this is a amazing brand for that. I would say the only thing that is kind of disappointing is it contains a protein blend, meaning that it contains a blend of isolate concentrate. And it's not really clear in what proportions it contains, how much of it does contain concentrate versus isolate. And it has a lot of unpronounceable ingredients I wish were just cut down a little bit more.
Sure. Okay, now last one I want to talk about is what a lot of people think is the best tasting protein powder here. I disagree. I'm going to go with Legion, but actually Brittany is in the back drinking X-Works because she needed some protein this morning, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is like really good chocolate. And I know Anthony here like loves it. They kind of think it tastes like Yoo-Hoo, so I get where they're coming from. Like, it is a really good tasting product, and it's only $1.96 per serving, which is, you know, still up there in cost, but I think a still quality protein. It also has a low amount of carbs and fat. So again, if you're like looking to watch those macros, then maybe look at this one. But what are some things, just like looking off of their website? I don't know if you've ever tasted it, but maybe some things that stand out to you.
It is sourced from grass-fed whey, like Legion, so I do not doubt that it tastes amazing. But another thing that stood out to me when I was looking over this is it has very minimal ingredients, very simple, not a whole lot to sort through, and the labeling is very transparent. It tells you not only exactly what's in it, but also how many grams of amino acids is in it, which is something that you don't find a lot, and something that I appreciate as a sports nutritionist. The only thing that I don't like is there's not that many flavors. So you just sort of have to live with the chocolate and the vanilla.
Yeah, which honestly I'm fine. Sometimes I'm a simple gal and I just want vanilla, you know, and that's okay. Don't judge me for that.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I got to rotate like every 2 months or I start to get bored.
Okay. All right, so let's just go over some questions real quick. Are there protein powders or ingredients that are extra beneficial to women?
I wouldn't say so necessarily. I actually get this question a lot from my athletes and my clients. Are there any special considerations? Not really. I would just caution women to not rely so much on protein powders, as good as they taste, for their protein intake, because we do need more iron than men do. And a lot of the iron from our diets comes from sources like a really nice animal protein. So we really need to be careful to balance that out, especially if you're athletic, when iron and oxygen efficiency is very important.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, because obviously women are different than men, our hormones are changing almost on a weekly basis. Is there any sort of considerations that we should take into place throughout the month? So is there certain times where you say, hey, you might need extra protein during this time, or hey, you might need extra fat during this time? Like, are there any considerations that we should take throughout the month being a woman?
You're not going to like this answer, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
There's not any protein that really influences our hormones or helps us get through that time of the month or anything like that. It's just make sure you're eating enough calories.
See, and this is why I love talking to you, because you're so just like, here it is. I'm on TikTok and I see so many like, this is how I eat and train during this week of my cycle. This is how I eat and train during this. And it's a ton of followers and people are liking it. So I'm like, let's get the correct information out there to women so we can just make it a lot more simple on us. Because I don't have time to sleep cycle. Like, you want me to take almonds at a certain time of the month? Like, forget about it. I'm not doing that. Okay. All right. So while pregnant, is there any considerations that women should take while taking a protein supplement?
I would be very careful about taking a protein powder unless it's been cleared with your physician while pregnant, because supplements aren't regulated by the FDA. Even third-party tested supplements, just because it's third-party tested, that doesn't guarantee that there aren't any contaminants or anything that could be in it that could harm, your pregnancy. So just be really careful about supplements during that time is my advice.
Okay, and then this is my last question, and then I'll just have you say anything else you want to about protein in general. But one common complaint, especially as women age, is we tend to gain weight in our midsection. Can protein help with that? What can we do to combat that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's the same thing as anyone who's on a cutting cycle. What a lot of people don't know is if you're cutting, you actually need more protein than if you're bulking to help you raise your metabolism, to help you control your hunger, and just to help you maintain the muscle while you're in a calorie deficit. So I would say if you're trying to lose belly fat, you need to increase your protein intake and probably displace some carbs and fat in your diet, and that will make a big difference in your fat loss.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you can share with us? Any advice you would give to women looking for a good protein supplement or just a good way to get protein in throughout the day? Any thoughts you can share with us?
Yeah, one thing that I would say specific to women is that a lot of people are all about collagen supplements, B vitamins, and all of that. But really, the biggest thing you see with a protein deficiency, and my sister had this issue, is hair falling out. Really brittle, dull hair, dull skin will happen if you aren't getting enough protein or you aren't meeting your daily protein needs. So I would focus more on using something like protein powder to help meet your protein needs rather than taking a dozen different supplements to help with your hair, skin, and nails.
Awesome. Keep it simple. I feel like every time I talk to you, that's like the message. You're like, just make it simple.
Yeah.
I think that's great because we tend to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, exactly. We got enough to worry about.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Guys, we have a full written article review on our website. We've placed a link below the like button. If you want more information on protein powders that we've tried, tested, and go ahead and check that out. But thank you guys for being with us. This has been Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Peace.